Welcome back to Engine Shop Joe. We are almost done with the Features and Parameters series. I think it'll be this week and next week, and then we're done with that. So let's get going. Okay, we're going to start at Road Speed Governor. If the truck goes down the highway and it's going to use cruise control and you're going to monitor the road speed, that has to be enabled. If you disable that, you have no cruise. The speedometer probably won't work. It won't be recording trip information. So you leave that alone. That's enabled. Maximum accelerator vehicle speed is as fast as the truck will go, pushing the accelerator all the way down in top gear. Maximum vehicle speed is as fast as the ECM will let the vehicle go. So in this case, you see that maximum vehicle speed is a faster speed than the accelerator. So you could set the cruise at 80 and the vehicle speed at 70, the accelerator speed at 75 to make the driver stay in cruise. You could also have driver reward turned on to give him that extra 5 miles an hour if he's getting good fuel mileage. Road speed governor, lower droop and upper droop, has to do with how aggressively the throttle pedal will get you to your road speed. Generally speaking, drivers never are able to tell if that's set at 0 or it's not set at 0. So it's best just to leave that at 0. It really doesn't affect anything that anybody I knew could tell. Greenhouse gas vehicle speed limiter. Greenhouse gas is an option that's turned on only by the OEM. Greenhouse gas is an emissions-driven feature, and if that's turned on by the OEM, that truck's horsepower and torque can never be changed. It's what it is when you buy it. And OEMs turn that on. Usually it's in smaller box trucks like 18 or 24 foot van trucks that are lower horsepower, and they get emissions credits because it's running very, very clean comparatively to the vehicles that have it turned off. If you buy something and that's turned on when you buy it, the ECM can only be replaced by the OEM, and it's a big deal. So we never have that on because sometimes we change horsepower or torque in our trucks, and you can't do that if that's turned on. It's locked. And by the way, if that's turned on, it's got an OEM password in it, and if you don't know that, you can't shut it off with Insight. You can't buy a password removal tool called a Zapit and wipe it out. It is on for the life of the vehicle, life of the engine. Maximum vehicle speed switch. If you put that in and enable it, you have to set a vehicle speed when it's on and set one when it's off. We used to have those in a couple of the trucks that went up to Canada. They would flip that on when they got to Canada and they could only go 60 miles an hour. When they got back to the States, they'd flip it off. They could go 70. That's so the driver doesn't have to really pay attention if he's going over the speed limit or not. It's a specialty switch. Reserve speed is another specialty switch that the driver could turn on if he has to have a certain extra speed for a special reason. Road speed control, road speed governor type. In this case, it's traditional. Just leave that alone. That has to do with special OEM devices that can be installed. It also has to do with the automated transmissions. SAE 1939 multiplexing. So when you have a switch in the dash, that switch traditionally has wires that go off of the back of it through the firewall into certain pins in the ECM. When you use multiplexing or enable multiplexing, the switch now goes into the VECU or the cab computer, the dash computer, the truck's cab controller, whatever you want to call it. And when you flip the switch, it changes the state in that cab computer, and then it in turn streams the data through a data bus, 1939 data bus, to the engine ECM. So anything you multiplex, anything you enable in multiplexing switches or controls, you have to set addresses for. The address tells the engine ECM where to look in the cab controller for the device, and it tells the cab controller where to put that information for the engine ECM to look to see what the state or device is. So here's a further list of the different types of controls you could have. You can have the air conditioning pressure switch, cruise control switches, fan control switches, fuel level sensor. Instead of hardwiring these things, they can all go to the cab computer and then it streams it to the engine computer. You see that the source address for all of these is 39 Management Computer 1. There is a load of different source addresses. So when you click on that field, a drop down will come up and there's a list of them. And if you pick the wrong one, now you have active fault codes and that device no longer functions. A lot of times you'll see 2, 3, 4, or even 5 different source addresses for different devices. And you never know what truck's going to have what. So imagine the ECM fails on your truck and you don't have this information. The only way to get it is call the OEM, and they have to go and pull a file, and then they have to print that and send it to you. And we're talking about weeks to get the information. That's been my experience. So this is why with Cummins Insight, you make an ECM image and you save it. And I even say go as far as print these features and parameters expanded and put a copy in the truck's information packet that stays with the truck, because if the ECM fails on the road, the shop that's working on it can take that printout and go through these one at a time. It'll take a whole hour to set all the features and parameters. But when he's done, or they're done, the truck will work as it used to. Everything will function. There'll be no fault codes for can't find this, can't find that. That's just imperative. I can't stress that enough. And if you do make an image, you can export that image and save it. We used to name it as a truck's unit number, and there was 4 or 5 times in the 10 years where I worked that I had to email one of those to a shop in another state someplace because an ECM failed on the road, and without that, it would have been a disaster. Okay, remember I told you about if you draw an imaginary line, in this case it's a blue line straight down, anything to the left of that starts another group. So our last multiplex device in this was the torque derate switch. And now when we see service brake switch, we are back to a hardwired switch. Now, notice that if you look up a couple lines, you'll see service brake switch enabled, and you have a source address. And then farther down below, you see service brake switch enabled again. Depending how the unit is set up, sometimes the service brake switch will be disabled in multiplexing, and then the ECM knows that you have a hardwired switch and it looks for a signal it pins in the ECM. If you enable it in multiplexing, it looks for the source address, but it's important that the truck knows, or the engine knows, there is a service brake switch installed so that when you're in PTO mode, it watches for the service brake to be depressed to kick it out of either cruise or out of PTO. Okay, that's going to wrap this up, and we'll finish this series next week and then move on. Thanks for joining me at Engine Shop Joe, and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for that. Have a good day.